Hello folks, Alex here. This is Alex Unabridged, and today I've got my trash report for week 4 of GarbAugust. So welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Yes, final trash report. As I film this, we have just reached the end of August and the end of GarbAugust, which is quite sad. I've had an absolutely fantastic month, and thanks very much to Ollie for organising the event and having me along as a co-host this year. It has been absolutely brilliant, and thanks to all my fellow co-hosts as well. It's been absolutely fab being involved with this wonderful group of gaggers. So what have I read for my final week of GarbAugust then? Little bit of a slower week this week. I think I've ran out of steam a little bit. I have been going pretty hard with the trash for the previous 3 weeks, and I think my brain's just getting to maximum trash capacity this last week. So there were a couple of DNFs in this last week, so I quickly cover those first. Firstly, I didn't finish Riders. I had intended to. I had it as an audiobook, and I've been kind of chipping away at it throughout the month, but I just ran out of steam. I think I just kind of went, yeah, no, I don't really care that much, and my brain just wasn't in the mood for it at all. And I was finding myself forcing myself to listen to it, and that's never a good sign. It was amusing for, the most part of what I read or listened to. It was made better, I think, by the quite posh accent of the narrator. The narrator did a decent job, but it's just not for me. I think it's not bad. It's very much of its time. It's got some pretty dicey kind of representations of different sorts of people in it, and yeah, it's a bit inappropriate, shall we say, at times, but there were definitely amusing elements to it, but yeah, I just ran out of momentum with it and just kind of went, yeah, it's not for me. It's not the sort of thing where I could ever see myself sort of going on further in the series with it. I've tried Jilly Cooper. I'm glad I tried Jilly Cooper, but I think I know where I come down on that. So I won't rate that. And the other one that I didn't get very far into before I stopped was Consumed by David Cronenberg. So this was part of the Celebrity Authors week, if you like, or Celebrity Authors theme. And the reason why I stopped with this was not because I wasn't enjoying it. It's because it's not trash in my eyes. It might be written by somebody who is known for something other than writing books, but Cronenberg, he is an artist at the end of the day. He's a filmmaker, and he's an auteur, definitely. He's got a very particular style to his stuff. I would definitely call him an artist. I know his stuff isn't for everybody, but I generally like his films. And yeah, this wasn't trashy in my eyes, and it was taking quite a lot of thought on my part, and my brain just kind of wasn't that. That's not what I signed up for. When it comes to GarbAugust, I want trash, quite easy to read stuff. There was quite a bit of sort of reference to philosophy and philosophers. There was, it was quite. It took some thought to kind of follow and to kind of start to try and piece together things and what Cronenberg's saying and where this was going, and so I read about 75 to 100 pages of it, and then kind of went, no, do you know what, I'm not in the right place for this now. This isn't a book for GarbAugust, but this is a book that I would like to come back to. So I've put it aside, but kept it on my wish list for a future TBR. So that's the DNFs out of the way. So the two that I did read in their entirety then. So usual ratings for this, the 1 to 5 ratings that are how much I enjoyed something. And then we've got my Trash Pandas, of, bronze, a little bit trashy, silver, moderate amount of trash, and gold, uber trash. So the first one that I read was a Buffy tie-in, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer tie-in, which was Out of the Madhouse by Christopher Golden and Nancy Holder. It is this one, in fact, and this is part of the book one of the Gatekeeper trilogy, and this follows Buffy and the gang battling against a lot of weird and wonderful monsters, creatures, etc., entities. There's a whole slew of them kind of pop up in Sunnydale, and Buffy and the gang figure out that they are somehow they're somehow getting out of a sort of prison, if you like, which is the Gatehouse, which is an old house in Boston that is kind of managed by a magic user. I wouldn't call him a wizard or anything like that, really, but a magic user who is essentially the gatekeeper to stop all of these things getting out from the other world. There's something wrong. There's a plot to release all of these beasties, these demons, onto the world. And so they have to go and find the house and help the gatekeeper. This is the book one in the trilogy. It's kind of what you'd expect from a Buffy tie-in, really. It's the usual gang. I think it's set probably somewhere in the early series, or like sort of that sort of time. They're still at school. They haven't gone to college yet. The gang. I think it's probably series 3 sort of era, that kind of thing. Wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It's not quite. It doesn't quite hit the kind of the humour of Buffy quite right. It tries. It does a decent job. It's a decent attempt, but it doesn't quite hit that like snark level, or the kind of the cultural referencing that I really loved about Buffy. It doesn't kind of really kind of get all of that. Some of the characterizations are a little bit off in my mind. Like Xander's not quite right. Willow's a bit flat. Buffy's decent, and Giles actually is really good. They've got Giles right, and Giles plays quite a decent part. Decent part in this. Excuse me. The whole Watchers Council and Watchers generally is kind of they're coming into it. There's other Watchers. And yeah, they get that right, definitely. But yeah, it's you can't expect it to be exactly the same. It's not the same writers, but it was a good fun read basically, and I will read the next 2 in the trilogy. I should think at some point. I'll probably save them for a future GarbAugust. So this one, I would say that this one is a silver trash panda, and I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's not quite up there enough for the 4, but it has made me want to continue on with the series. So I think once I've finished the trilogy, I'll be able to kind of give a better idea on what I think of the story as a whole. So yes, 3.5 and a silver trash panda. So the final book then that I read for GarbAugust was a bit of a surprise pick, really. I hadn't planned to read anything else. I'd kind of got to the point where I didn't have much time left, and I thought, no, that'll do. And then I was just, browsing on Kindle Unlimited, as you do, looking at other Sharky books that were out there, because I'm trying to find a whole host of Sharky things to read. And one caught my eye. And it's called Zombie Sharks with Metal Teeth. And it's by Stephen Graham Jones. Stephen Graham Jones, of course, being the author of The Only Good Indians and My Heart is a Chainsaw. And I read the blurb for this and immediately kind of went, yeah, I need to read this. This sounds ridiculous. And so, yes, I just decided it was only 170 pages. I thought, I've got, 3 hours I can probably find. And it's short stories. It's all short stories. So that is what I did. this is, in the most part, utterly ridiculous stuff. It's weird. A lot of it's weird. He really kind of, just kind of jumps off the deep end in these stories. Stephen Graham Jones. It's I'm rating it as a 4 overall, and a silver trash panda, because some of the stories are much trashier than others. Some of them would be a bronze trash panda and some of them would be a gold. So I'm settling in the middle with a silver. And I'm going for 4 because, again, some of the stories weren't my cup of tea, and I would have rated them lower on their own. But then there were a couple which I really, really liked that probably would have got a 5 on their own. So I'm settling for around that. It was a very, very enjoyable and very interesting read. It's weird. It's weird. It's the title, I have to say, is somewhat misleading. There are no zombie sharks in it, and I did feel like I was a little bit cheated on that, but you'd have to read it to kind of know why it's called that, really. And there are author's notes in the back, sort of bits about the individual stories, which help to kind of explain stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of random stuff in here. Some of it almost feels like it's come from maybe dreams, or it's just Stephen Graham Jones' mind. I'm very interested in now, having read this, in terms of what he's come up with. There's some really dark stuff in here as well. It's like darkly comic, and then there's dark. And there's not scary. There's definitely some creepy stuff in there. There's some just really good, almost comedy horror. And as I say, just some batshit stuff where you just think, where did that come from? There's one story in particular which I loved, which is called the Sea of Intranquility, which is about essentially giant space lobsters that live in seas on the moon, that human beings use as storage devices for their consciousness. And the story is told by a kind of a quite a gritty PI kind of character. And it is just absolutely bonkers. But it's well done. It's really well done. So yeah, there's some definite trashy elements to this. But the writing style itself, I would say, isn't generally that trashy. So it's a silver. It's definitely a silver. I think like my major criticism of it is like it's not to do with the quality of the writing or anything. Even the stories that I didn't particularly like, that I didn't think worked, I can applaud the experimentation of it, and like just the creativity of just kind of trying something and unleashing it and seeing how it goes, basically. I'm all up for that. Sometimes you just got to run with these things and see what comes of them. It's a very creative collection. But my main thing is, I wish somebody had actually flipping well proofread this before they put it out to the world. The amount of errors in it is kind of unacceptable, actually. And that's not on Stephen Graham Jones, I don't think. That's on the editors. But yeah, a lot of typos, a lot of incorrect word uses, whether that's because of a typo or whatever. There was quite a few sections where I had to kind of go back and kind of go, do you mean that, or do you mean this? And then you realise actually they meant something else, or they've missed an apostrophe, or so it is typo based. Yeah, there's a lot of errors, and there was one error where they kind of the character's name is switched, and it's definitely the same character that they're talking about, but it goes from being Michael T for majority of the story, and then for a couple of paragraphs is referred to as Johnny T, out of nowhere, and then it goes back to Michael T, and it's definitely the same character, because I had to go back and like check, you know, everything. But yeah, it really annoys me with that kind of thing, because it pulls you out of the story, because you have to go back and like, you know, go through and proofread it essentially yourself to figure out what the problem with the comprehension is. So it's like, yeah, so that is one of my main criticisms. But again, that's not on the writing, the creativity from Stephen Graham Jones. That's on the editors. Come on, pull your socks up. So yes, that one generally, apart from the errors, I really liked. I really liked a lot of the stories in that. So yes, that is a 4 and a silver trash panda. So there we go, folks. That is the final trash report from me. As I say, I've had a fantastic GarbAugust, and I hope you have too. If you've been taking part, I hope you've managed to get through all that you wanted to read, and that you've not burnt yourself out too much on reading. You know, make sure you step down your trash gradually. Don't go cold turkey. I think that's probably a recipe for disaster. That. So yes, keep adding in some nuggets of trash into your reading plans, your reading diet. So that is it from me today. I will be back on Sunday with one final trashy video. I'm going to do an August wrap up, which will include, you know, a general little retrospective of my GarbAugust experience, a little writing wrap up, and all that kind of thing as well, for the months generally. So do join me again on Sunday for a little bit more trashy content before we resume normal service on the channel. But yes, that is it from me today. So if you enjoyed this video, please do consider giving me a like and subscribing for more content coming very soon. But from me, for now, stay trashy.